In 1942, German U-boats were sinking supply ships faster than they could be replaced. Food imports collapsed. 12 million American men were overseas, leaving farms short of labor. The USDA needed a way to grow food fast in places where soil didn't exist. Concrete rooftops in cities, factory courtyards, basement shelters. What they developed was hydroponic vegetable production, growing plants in water with zero soil. A 10 by 10 foot setup could produce 200 pounds of vegetables yearly. By 1945, the military was feeding Pacific troops using rooftop hydroponic farms. Then the war ended. Within 12 months, USDA withdrew funding and archived the manuals. Today, those techniques could eliminate grocery dependency for millions, but you won't find them in any government program. And here's what should make you furious. The reason they buried it had nothing to do with whether it worked. Hydroponics isn't new. The concept dates to the 1600s, but practical, scalable hydroponics for food production was perfected during World War II by Dr. William Frederick Gericke at UC Berkeley. In 1937, he demonstrated that tomatoes grown in nutrient solution could produce yields 10 times higher per square foot than field-grown crops. The military took notice. In 1942, the War Department contracted Gericke to develop hydroponic systems for troops on barren Pacific islands, Wake Island, Ascension, Iwo Jima, where soil agriculture was impossible. He designed shallow gravel beds fed with liquid nutrients through simple gravity flow systems. The results were documented in classified military reports, declassified in 1995. On Wake Island, a hydroponic farm measuring 50 by 100 feet produced 3 tons of vegetables monthly using seawater desalinated through solar stills. Lettuce matured in 35 days. Tomatoes produced continuously for 18 months without replanting. But here's what made the government nervous. This wasn't just military tech. Gericke published his methods in 1940 in Hydroponics, Crop Production in Liquid Culture Media. By 1943, civilian researchers at Purdue had adapted his designs for victory gardens, backyard hydroponic units from scrap lumber and galvanized gutters, producing 200 pounds of vegetables annually from 10 by 10 foot footprints. USDA extension bulletins from 1944 included detailed plans for soilless victory gardens, recommending them for urban households with no yard. Manuals describe nutrient formulas you could mix from hardware store chemicals, ammonium nitrate, potassium nitrate, magnesium sulfate. Then, August 1945, war ended, and something strange happened. Stay with me, because in 90 seconds, I'll show you the industry memo that explains exactly why they killed this. By 1946, USDA funding for hydroponic research was cut 90%. Extension offices stopped distributing manuals. When Purdue tried publishing an updated civilian guide in 1947, USDA blocked it, citing insufficient commercial viability. The reasoning made no sense. Systems worked. Research proved it. But suddenly, hydroponics was experimental and unsuitable for home use. Here's what really happened. Post-war America faced a choice. Millions had learned to grow food during war. Small gardens, rooftop setups, hydroponics in basements, they were food independent. The emerging industrial agriculture sector, chemical companies, equipment manufacturers, seed corporations needed customers. An internal memo from American Farm Bureau Federation leaked in the 1980s stated, "The transition from wartime self-sufficiency to peacetime consumption economy requires discouraging home food production in favor of commercial agriculture. Public programs promoting victory gardens and soilless farming should be discontinued to normalize food purchasing patterns." Translation: get people out of gardens and into grocery stores. Because here's what hydroponics eliminates and why it threatened everything. You don't need farmland. You don't need tractors. You don't need chemical fertilizers sold by the ton. You don't need pesticides because soil-borne diseases don't exist in water culture. A family with 10 by 10 foot hydroponic setup on a balcony can produce 200 pounds of lettuce, tomatoes, peppers, herbs annually using $50 worth of nutrients. That's $800 to $1,200 worth of organic vegetables at grocery prices from 100 square feet with zero land. Think about what that means for industrial agriculture. No land sales, no equipment, no annual fertilizer purchases, no seed contracts, no pesticides, just one-time setup and $50 yearly in nutrients. By 1950, hydroponics had been relegated to academic research and niche commercial greenhouses. Home hydroponics vanished, manuals were archived, universities stopped teaching it, and for 50 years, knowledge sat dormant. Then, in the 1990s, the internet changed everything. Hobbyists started scanning old military manuals, forums appeared. By 2010, hydroponic gardening was exploding. Rooftop farms in Brooklyn, basement setups in Detroit, balcony gardens in LA. But there's still no government support. USDA has no extension programs for home hydroponics, no subsidies, no education campaigns. Meanwhile, industrial hydroponic farms, massive commercial operations selling to chains, receive millions in tax breaks. The message is clear. Hydroponics is fine when corporations control it. Teaching individuals to grow their own, not in the program.
Let me show you the proof they're hiding and why this should make you furious. In 2015, a Boston researcher built a hydroponic system in a 200 square foot basement with zero natural light using LED grow lights. Over 12 months, 840 pounds of leafy greens. Costs $180 initial setup, PVC pipes, bins, pump, lights, $60 annually for nutrients and electricity. At farmers market prices, harvest worth $2,500. Return on investment, 10 weeks. She documented everything in a blog downloaded 50,000 times before mysteriously taken down in 2017 for terms of service violations, never specified. In 2018, a Phoenix family installed small hydroponic unit on apartment balcony, 6 by 4 feet. Using nutrient film technique, they grew tomatoes and peppers year-round in 115 degrees Fahrenheit heat. Annual harvest, 180 pounds. Water use, 95% less than soil because water recirculates. In 2020, during pandemic shortages, hydroponic setups became survival systems. Indoor Gardening Association survey, 67% of new hydroponic gardeners cited food security, not hobby, as primary motivation. Equipment sales surged 340% in March-April 2020. But here's a measurement proving World War II researchers were right. Productivity per square foot. Field-grown tomato requires 4 to 6 square feet, produces 10 to 15 pounds per season. Hydroponic tomato in vertical tower occupies 1 square foot, produces 20 to 30 pounds per season. That's 4 to 6 times more food from the same footprint with 90% less water, 0 pesticides, year-round production. So here's a setup they don't want you knowing costs under $200. Start with deep water culture, easiest method. You need container, 5-gallon bucket or a 10-gallon bin, net pots, plastic cups with holes, growing medium, clay pebbles or rock wool, aquarium air pump and air stone, hydroponic nutrients. Drill holes in container lid to fit net pots. For 10-gallon bin, 6 to 8 net pots. Fill bin with water, leaving 2 inches airspace. Add nutrients per package directions, typically 1 to 2 teaspoons per gallon. Adjust pH to 5.5 to 6.5 using pH solutions. Place air stone in water, connect to pump. This oxygenates, preventing root rot. Insert net pots into lid. Fill with clay pebbles. Place seedlings in pebbles, roots dangling in water below. Air pump runs 24/7. Roots grow into water, absorbing nutrients. As water evaporates, top off. Every 2 weeks, change solution completely. For indoor lighting, LED grow lights. Basic setup, 2 to 4 bulbs providing 30 to 50 watts per square foot. For 10-gallon bin with 4 square feet surface, you need 120 to 200 watts LED. Costs $30 to $60 monthly electricity. Total startup for 10-gallon system, $80 to $120. Container, pump, pots, pebbles, nutrients for 3 months, lights if needed. Now, what this produces and why it threatens the entire food system.
Single 10-gallon bin with 6 lettuce plants produces harvest-ready head every 3 to 4 days once mature. That's 90 to 120 heads yearly. At $3 per head for organic lettuce, $270 to $360 annually. System paid for itself in 3 months. Scale to 3 bins, lettuce, tomatoes, herbs, and you're producing $800 to $1,000 worth annually from 15 square feet of balcony or basement. But here's a critical mistake most people make and why their systems fail: using fertilizer too soon after starting. Hydroponic nutrients are precisely balanced. If you add extra fertilizer to help plants, you burn roots and crash the system. Follow nutrient package directions exactly. Don't improvise. An Ohio gardener ran controlled experiment in 2021. 2 identical 4x8 raised beds with tomatoes. Bed A, hydroponic tower system, no soil. Bed B, conventional soil with fertilizer. Harvest: Bed A produced 78 pounds. Bed B, 52 pounds. Bed A showed 0 disease. Bed B, 30% early blight. Fertilizer cost Bed B, $85. Nutrients Bed A, $18. He continued 3 years. By year 3, Bed A producing 95 pounds per season. Bed B plateaued at 55 pounds. This is what USDA taught in 1944 and buried in 1946. Technology so effective, it threatened to make grocery stores optional. The military used it to feed troops on barren islands. Civilians used it to survive shortages. Then war ended and agricultural industry needed customers, not competitors. Dr. Gericke's book, A 1940, was reprinted in 2008, after being out of print 60 years. When a small publisher tried releasing it, major agricultural textbook companies attempted blocking distribution, claiming outdated information poses public safety risks. Publisher released anyway. It sold 15,000 copies in 6 months. Why would a book on growing vegetables in water be considered dangerous? Because every person who learns hydroponics is one less customer for industrial agriculture. Every basement setup is a competitor to supply chains. But you can't patent gravity, you can't regulate water, and you can't make it illegal to grow lettuce in your home, at least not yet. The military proved it works. Research is public, materials cost less than a week's groceries. The only thing stopping you is whether you believe you need permission. USDA in 1944 said you didn't. In 1946, they changed their mind. But physics never changed. Roots don't care whether they're in soil or water, and food security is food security, whether it's 1945 or today. If this makes you wonder what else got buried when the war ended, good. The government stopped teaching it, but they can't stop you from learning it. The manuals are out there, the tech is simple, and the grocery stores are optional.